prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719 extension 3. 800-724-2719 extension 3.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to the Michael Rivero What Really Happened radio program.
Welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, April 27th, 2021, getting into the week here, and we've got a lot to talk about today. It's been kind of a busy news day. So as usual, we're going to do news until we run out of news. Then we're going to open up our phone lines for your comments, questions, and observations. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. So let's get right on into it. The audit in Maricopa County is continuing. The Democrats are in an uproar. The media is already, attacking the whole process, saying it's completely unnecessary. Everybody knows that Biden won Arizona, blah, 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 blah. And apparently the audit actually started last Friday. They wanted to get a jump on it, and they worked through most of the weekend. They're still counting right now. As we mentioned before, they're using ultraviolet lights to check the watermarks on the ballots, and they're not being specific, but they're saying they are finding evidence of systemic fraud. And the chair of the Arizona GOP, Dr. Kelly Ward, is saying this is America's audit. It is for America, and that's absolutely true. Now, we had a change of judges over this audit case. The last one recused himself when the Democrats hired an attorney who had served as the judge's intern, probably seeking some kind of undue influence, and the judge stepped down. The new judge, unfortunately, is not an improvement. The new judge was appointed by Democrat Janet Napolitano and has ties to the Mark Elias firm Perkins Cole law firm. So definitely plugged in on that one. And apparently the judge has given both sides in this case 10 days to prepare their briefs for a hearing. And my guess is the audit might actually be done before this new hearing. And of course, the big question is, can the Arizona court overturn the Senate of the state, which has ordered this audit? Now, Steve Bannon is out there saying the mainstream media is coming in for their bombing runs. They are attacking the Arizona audit. They're saying everything they can to discredit it and convince the American people there's no signs of fraud anywhere, and even if there are, it didn't change the ultimate outcome. A story coming on out of Cuz Blue. Apparently a far-left media hack tried to sneak inside the Arizona audit room without the proper credentials in an attempt to discredit the process. That did not work. And again, it's a signal of just how desperate the Democrats are. They're absolutely terrified of a valid audit in Maricopa County. Now remember, Maricopa County is the largest voting block in the entire state, and that's why this is so important. And there was an interesting article, again from Cuz Blue, talking about the fact that the election results last November for Arizona were completely insane. And there was, one measure was that at an event less than a month before the election, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris showed up in Phoenix. There was nobody there. Nobody showed up at all for these two. And, you had Trump was drawing all of these crowds. They had 1.1 million attendees. Biden has had less than 2,000 attendees between Labor Day and Election Day. Trump had these massive crowds, and Biden had very, very few people. And so the Arizona results never really passed the smell test to begin with. And the Democrats are trying to find some way that they can discredit this process or ridicule it or make it go away. And the corporate media, which all along has been helping to sell the lie of the Biden presidency, is out there doing everything they can to convince the American people that this is a nothing burger. And I think the American people are too wise by now to fall for any more media propaganda on this. We had a stolen presidential election last November, and when the results come out of the audit in Maricopa, we're going to see other states start to demand audit of their election results as well. I know we're hearing about that down in Georgia. Pardon me, New Hampshire's getting ready to do one. Meanwhile, down in Kansas, the Democratic governor of the state, Laura Kelly, has vetoed election integrity bills. And, they basically want to keep the elections wide open to fraud. And one of the bills, House Bill 2183, addresses several election integrity issues, including prohibiting the receipt and expenditure of private monies by election officials, directing the Secretary of State to publish certain registered voter totals, more provisions relating to advance voting ballots by requiring signed statements for delivery of such ballots on behalf of a voter, limiting the number of such ballots that can be delivered, prohibiting the altering or backdating of the mailing dates of such ballots, which we saw a lot of last November, and requiring a matching signature on such ballots. And the Democratic governor of Kansas vetoed that. They want to keep the election fraud mechanism intact. Talking about New Hampshire, the town of Windham is going ahead with their audit, and they have met to select analysts for a forensic audit. And they have chosen Verified Voting as the first of 3 companies for the review. So this is not going away no matter what the corporate media says. We know the election was stolen. It was obvious. It was heavy-handed. And I'm sure that the Democrats are running around saying, well, you can't let the American people know the election was stolen. They won't have any confidence in future elections. Well, it's not the audit that's doing that. It's the fact that the Democrats did steal the election that is going to destroy confidence in the electoral process. And if we don't have fair and honest elections, then we, the people, don't have our own country anymore. That's really what it comes down to. And, we're going to be living under this perpetual liberal dictatorship where, we'll be required to go to a ballot place and touch a button. And then the next day they'll tell us who our new leaders are. And we'll have no way of knowing for a fact that who we voted for is who won the election. Speaking of crooked elections, an article out of Daily Maverick down in New Zealand is talking about secret cables were recently declassified that reveal Great Britain interfered with the elections in Chile. And under the Labor government of Harold Wilson from 64 to 70, a secret Foreign Office unit initiated a propaganda offensive in Chile aiming to prevent Allende, Chile's leading socialist figure, from winning power in 2 presidential elections, 1964 and 1970. And as you know, Allende was eventually brought down and replaced with the dictator Pinochet. Another story, this one coming out of YouTube. Remember back during the Clinton administration, and it came on out that the Democrats and, it's not Clinton, Obama, the Obama administration, Democrats had weaponized the Internal Revenue Service to go after conservatives, to intimidate them. They were going after conservative political organizations. They were denying nonprofit status, and just really harassing them as hard as they could. Well, apparently they're doing it again. And but again, it's now where everybody can see it. All right, we are basically approaching the 100th day in office of his fraudulency, Joe Biden, and a new poll reveals that his approval rating is pathetic, even with all the liberal media support. According to a Washington Compost ABC News poll, Biden has a 52% approval rating 100 days in office. This is the third lowest since tracking began. Of those who approve, 34% said they strongly approve and 18% said they somewhat approved. Of the 1,007 adults polled by phone for the survey, 42% say they disapprove of Biden's job as president so far, 35% saying they strongly disapprove, and 7% saying they somewhat disapprove. And I would almost expect those numbers have been tinkered with a little bit and still can't really get it into a strongly positive situation. As you know, this last year we had a census, and aside from intruding into your personal lives, the main purpose of the census is for apportionment of congressional districts, and there was a big surprise coming out of this census because California, New York, Michigan, and Illinois and Pennsylvania lost a seat in the House of Representatives each. Ohio and West Virginia lost a seat in the House. Oregon and Colorado gained a seat in the House. And Montana, Florida, North Carolina, and Texas gained 2 seats each, which is a net gain of 3 seats in predominantly Republican areas. So that's a little bit of good news there. Out in California, Governor Newsom is officially facing a recall after 1.6 million people signed the petition to have him removed from office, and that's enough signatures to qualify for the ballot. So that's going to go to the people, and I'm sure that Governor Newsom is out there saying, can we get some more of those Dominion vote counting machines, because I'm really going to need those. We are continuing to hear all kinds of negative criticisms about the Academy Awards that happened over the weekend. And there was this one article that came out of the Daily Mail in Great Britain saying enough of Hollywood. And they talk about how Sean Hannity blasted the Oscars as a far-left protest trying to tell Americans how to think. And that's the reason viewership tanked like it did. This is almost as bad as the NFL when Kaepernick took the knee for the anthem. Megyn Kelly went critical, saying, Hollywood's incessant lecturing is what really cost them the public attention. Now, I want to point something out here. Back during the Great Depression, people went to the movies to be entertained. They went to be distracted. They wanted to be sort of be taken out of the daily grind of their life, and that's why people like Busby Berkeley were such a success with the spectacles they put on there, because that's what people wanted. People don't go to the movies, they don't turn on the TV to be lectured and propagandized about drag queen story hour, LGBTQ this, the blessings of open borders, and so forth. And Hollywood really is self-destructing. They're making themselves irrelevant in America's society. So anyway, one of the Oscar-nominated stars, Andra Day, made a speech claiming that textbooks are designed to continue white supremacy. And she also praised Stacey Abrams. And she did this interview with left-wing cultural critic Roxane Gay for The Hollywood Reporter. Now, I remember when The Hollywood Reporter was all about the business of filmmaking, who was hiring, who was planning a production. But like the rest of Hollywood, it has become a propaganda rag. Over at the New York Times, they are no longer going to call op-eds op-eds. They're renaming them to guest essays to be more inclusive, and this was apparently triggered after ex-editors Barry Weiss and James Bennett were driven out by colleagues for not being woke enough. Apparently that is grounds for termination, not being woke enough. I'm not even really clear what wokeness is, except a lot of craziness there. Getting into online media, Reddit is facing a class action lawsuit for knowingly allowing child sexual abuse material on their platforms. The lawsuit was started by a woman whose name is being kept hidden, and she is saying that Reddit did little to stop a stream of revenge porn that featured her as a minor from being uploaded countless times. And, she is pursuing the class action on behalf of anyone whose own illicit and underage content was allowed to surge across the platform in the past decades. So the suit alleges that from 2019 through today, the plaintiff's now ex-boyfriend used 36 different subreddits to distribute lewd pictures and videos featuring her as a 16-year-old girl. Now, the woman spent hours and hours flagging the content across more than 24 subreddits, and Reddit apparently wasn't paying attention and didn't take the material down, hence the lawsuit. That's funny. If you question vaccines or the integrity of the election, you are gone from social media. But if you're putting up child porn stuff, well, they don't have the resources apparently to really deal with that. Over at Project Veritas, they have launched another lawsuit, this one against CNN, for false and defamatory statements with regards to Project Veritas's ban on Twitter. And Twitter banned Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe 2 weeks ago after he posted multiple videos on CNN's left-wing bias. So the lawsuits are flying, and I hope Project Veritas wins. I hope James O'Keefe winds up owning CNN. Over at Black Lives Matter, apparently another one of their founders has been caught spending huge sums of money on a lavish lifestyle. Maybe BLM needs to stand for buy lots of mansions, or big loads of money, or babes lounging in Malibu. And just under a month after one of the BLM leaders was busted spreading over $1 million on houses in California, fresh documents reveal another leader of the group dropped $26,000 on a swanky Malibu resort for get-together meetings and appearances and various other things, in the lap of luxury. This story, I think, underscores one of the major problems that we have in cultural perception. This is coming from UNS.com. And they're talking about how 9 black children were shot at a birthday party in Louisiana by a black shooter. This, needless to say, did not get reported on the corporate media. Nobody is rioting. And not one of the attendees is willing to file a formal statement with police to help track the shooter down. 2 of the children are still in the hospital over that one. And getting up to North Carolina, everybody's still talking about Andrew Brown. It turns out that he was a known drug dealer with a 180-page criminal record going back to 1988. He had been filmed or videoed selling narcotics just weeks before his death. And as you are already aware of, he was shot and killed by police attempting to serve an arrest warrant. Okay. Over in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, they have declared a state of emergency before the release of the body cam footage of the recent shooting of Andrew Brown Jr. and they're afraid that it's going to trigger more and more riots, and probably it will. That seems to be the required thing for any black criminal who gets killed. We're going to riot. Okay, we got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be back after these few words.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than 2 of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have, do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm, and do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander Lifetime Membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander Lifetime Membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus. See details on RBN's webpage to make it happen. The clock is ticking. You had better be ready before it happens.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about politics, current events, if you will, and Ashley Babbitt's family has retained the services of a lawyer who is going to file a lawsuit against the U.S. Capitol Police because a still unnamed Capitol Police officer shot and killed Ashley Babbitt during the January 6th Capitol protest. Now, no charges have been filed against the officer. He's not been identified publicly. Babbitt, who's a U.S. Air Force veteran, was unarmed and did not present a threat when she tried to climb through one of the Capitol doors, at which point the officer shot her. So we'll see where that goes. By the way, according to this article over in UNS.com, it's asking a very good question. Where were all the white supremacist riots over the Floyd verdict? And of course, there weren't any. And, it seems like the white supremacists are a little bit calmer, more collected, and they don't really see much of a reason to burn down their own city in the event something happens they don't like. And here's another little story. Former police lieutenant warns there's a public safety crisis coming as police officers begin an exodus from law enforcement. We have been hearing this over the last week, that given the anti-police propaganda we're seeing in the media, more and more police officers are retiring from the force in record numbers across the United States. And if all the police go away, then who are the liberals going to get to confiscate all of our assault weapons? A little something to think about there. Turning on to COVID-19, they're really desperate to get you to get that shot. Fear-mongering hasn't really worked. Coercion isn't really working. Apparently, there's a large number of people who got the first shot who are not bothering with the second shot. And there's this story out of CNN on all the free stuff you can get if you have been vaccinated. Now, Budweiser through May 16th, or while supplies last, will give a free beer to anyone over 21 years old who provide their proof of vaccination. And you have to go to a website, abeeronbud.com, and in order to register. Over at Junior's Cheesecake, they're offering a free mini cheesecake to anyone who shows their vaccine paperwork. Same thing with Krispy Kreme. You'll get a free glazed donut. Over at Nathan's Hot Dogs, if you show up on Coney Island with your vaccination card, you have to do this on the same day you get vaccinated, but you will get a free hot dog from them. Staples and Office Depot are offering free lamination services for your vaccine cards, so it's going to look a lot more official that way. Over at White Castle, which is a burger chain, they're giving a free dessert on a stick to anyone with proof they've received a COVID vaccine. So now they're resorting to bribery. Meanwhile, story coming on out of Natural News, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention last Thursday confirmed some 5,800 breakthrough coronavirus cases in the U.S. That's 5,800 people who got COVID even after getting fully vaccinated. 74 of them died. Really wonderfully effective vaccine here. Over at the Washington Post, Jennifer Rubin is out there screaming that COVID-19 vaccine refusers should be crushed. Just, get out there and just crush those people who don't trust vaccines and the government. Another story, this one a little more alarming, also from Natural News. There is a new report out. It's in the journal Microbiology and Infectious Diseases, and we did talk about this last week. The paper basically says the Pfizer jab has the potential to induce prion-based diseases, which according to the CDC are neurodegenerative diseases that damage the brain, kind of like, mad vaccine disease or something. Now, the current RNA-based vaccines were approved, and while they weren't really approved, they were allowed in the U.S. using an emergency order without extensive long-term safety testing. They're doing the long-term safety testing on all of us. And, these jabs were never previously administered to humans. And we're only just now finding out there are some serious, serious problems. We're talking about, 5-10 years down the road, and all of a sudden your brain is melting. And that's not a very well, if your brain melts, you can run for Congress, I guess. Okay, we're going to take another break for commercials, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Hey there, are you going to wait till the cows come home to get your new ease-off drop-and lift?
What in the world is an ease-off drop-and lift?
Our ease-off is a new tool to increase production for your meat processing company that will get that whole hog or half a beef on or off your rail with our remote control.
That sounds great, but can I afford it?
Sure, and the ease-off installs fast. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue, speed up your line, and increase profits.
Okay, I'm convinced. Where can I get my ease-off?
Go to easeoff.com. That's EAZEOFF.com. And hurry, because we're offering free shipping for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too.
Ease-Off, LLC, 417-932-6419.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the energy cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Extendivite has proven time and again it really works. Here's a testimonial from Amazon.com. I am only 40, but I have put my body through hell working in manufacturing for 20 years. I recently started to notice a buzzing feeling along with a stuttering sensation with my heart. I had a full cardio stress done, which I passed. I decided to try Extendivite after getting the jingle stuck in my head. Halfway through the bottle, I really did notice a difference. After getting home from work, I would just sit in a chair for a few hours feeling like crap, and this stuff reduced that feeling along with heart discomfort to almost nothing. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the...
Welcome back to our show. Here we're talking about the COVID scamdemic, if you will. Story coming on out of Health Impact News. Over in Israel, following the Pfizer experimental vaccines, they're reporting that death rates are heading up rapidly, and they're very, very concerned that Pfizer and the government of Israel have basically used the population of Israel as research subjects without their knowledge and consent. And I would think, given the history of World War II, that the Israelis would be more sensitive to this issue than anybody else on the planet, going back to the much storied experiments of Dr. Mengele and so forth. Interestingly enough, according to the Daily Beast, there is a private school down in Miami that is telling vaccinated teachers have to stay away from the kids. Now, in a letter sent to the New York Times, school co-founder Layli Sentner request teachers who've already been vaccinated inform the school so they can be physically distanced from the students. That's an interesting take, and we saw another one where this other school won't even hire anybody who's been vaccinated. And as far as the testing is concerned here, another story coming out of Madness Hub, there was a plane flight from Delhi to Hong Kong, and all the passengers presented a negative coronavirus test before boarding, and yet on arrival, 52 people on this flight tested positive for the coronavirus. So that mechanism isn't working. Alaska has announced they will not require vaccine passports to visit or travel around the state. Of course, there's a lot of room up in Alaska, and it's a beautiful state. But the governor is out there, Mike Dunleavy, in a press release said Alaska has led the nation with our COVID-19 response and vaccination rates, effectively protecting our most vulnerable citizens. And then he went on to say he's against any government order requiring Alaskans to get this vaccine or using an individual's vaccine status as a means of restricting their rights. Well, good for him. Up in Canada, pardon me, Doug Ford, the Prime Minister of Ontario, who's currently in a self-imposed quarantine at his late mother's house after a staffer tested positive for the virus, told a news conference that he actually got it wrong with the widespread COVID lockdowns. He said the objective was to curb mobility, but it wasn't the right decision. We moved too fast, he said, and he said, simply put, we got it wrong. We made a mistake. These decisions, they left a lot of people really concerned. For that, I am sorry and sincerely apologize. Remember the ventilators? Where there was a rush a year ago. Oh, we've got to have ventilators. We don't have enough. We need more of them at taxpayer expense. There is this YouTube video that we posted to whatreallyhappened.com showing that down in Miami-Dade, Florida, there are whole pallets of ventilators just being dumped in a landfill. They don't have enough patients to use them. I don't know why they don't store them, but they're just dumping them in a landfill. But somebody made their money off of them, and I guess that's all that really matters. Turning to the international news now, there are unconfirmed reports of an oil tanker attacked off the coast of Saudi Arabia. And the reason they think there's been an attack is that the vessel tracking data is showing the vessel deviating off course, sailing in a very slow zigzag formation. The speed was less than a knot. The ship was en route to the port of Yanbu al-Bar, Saudi Arabia, but as of the last report, appeared to have come to a complete stop. This is the NCC Dammam, and we're waiting to find out what happened to that. Getting to more of the political side of the international news, John Kerry is in a lot of hot water. There was that leaked audio that came out that John Kerry was telling Iran's foreign minister about Israel's covert operations in Syria. He is denying it now. But the story has now been confirmed by the Iran foreign minister. Apparently, photographs have surfaced confirming the meetings actually took place. So far, the White House is refusing any comment on this idea of John Kerry exposing Israeli secrets to Iran. Republicans are calling for John Kerry to resign after the New York Times leaked the Iran audio. And he's still out there saying, it never happened, it never happened, it never happened. Story coming on out from Global Research up in Canada. And they're talking about Israel had a near miss of potentially catastrophic proportions last Thursday. They're talking about the Syrian forces fired anti-aircraft missiles to Israeli Air Force planes that were attacking bases inside Syria. One of the missiles overflew its target and landed near Israel's Dimona nuclear weapons production facility. And so the whole point of this article is we need to be very careful because there is a potential for a nuclear disaster. Because if Dimona does get hit and is destroyed, it's going to spread radioactivity all over the place, like Chernobyl, like Fukushima, and especially with that bomb factory in the basement, there's a lot of radioactive material there. NATO has added Ukraine and Georgia to its eastern flank. They're not members, but basically, Ukraine is taking part in negotiations of the Romania, Poland, and Turkey triangle, which is referred to as NATO's eastern flank. So NATO is sort of embracing them, and that's the first step towards saying, yeah, an attack on Ukraine and Georgia brings the whole world into the war. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin called French President Macron and, talking about the escalation in southeastern Ukraine. And special attention was focused on the conflict. The leaders expressed concern over the escalation. Putin drew attention to Kiev's provocative actions, saying that Kiev is deliberately seeking to aggravate the situation along the contact line and ignoring the Minsk agreements. Okay. Meanwhile, Macron has other problems. There is a warning that's been issued from 20 retired French army generals that the Islamist hordes are causing France to disintegrate. And they're saying they're pushing France towards a civil war. And it could very well happen. Maybe call it a holy war. And these generals are calling for military rule in the country if Macron cannot halt society's disintegration caused by the Islamists. And this is creating a political uproar ahead of the elections. And Macron is already looking at the potential of losing his job to Marine Le Pen, according to the poll numbers. Okay, Human Rights Watch has released a report concluding that Israel is in fact an apartheid state and is carrying out apartheid in the West Bank against the Palestinians. It said that after decades of warnings that an entrenched hold over Palestinian life could lead to apartheid, the threshold has been crossed. Israel turned around and declared Human Rights Watch to be a bunch of Nazis. Oh, you're a bunch of Nazis, you Nazis, you. Okay. Another story, this one out of UNS.com, talking about rampaging Israeli settlers. And they're talking about stories from last week that were underreported, partly due to the fact that our corporate media in this country was heavily into the distraction provided by the beatification of George Floyd. And there was a tale about how a mob consisting of hundreds of Israeli Jews, composed mostly of settlers and the extremist so-called Kahanists, rampaged through Jerusalem, calling for death to Arabs. At one point, somebody said, "We're burning Arabs today. The Molotov cocktails are already in the trunk." Another story, this one out of antiwar.com. Under Israeli law, Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Benny Gantz can order military operations, but they must have the approval of the Security Cabinet if the mission could lead to an outright war. And according to a report from Israeli TV, Netanyahu and Gantz tried to order a military operation without consulting the Security Cabinet. Now, the report offered no details about what the mission consisted of, only that it was approved to send a message to the other side. And again, Netanyahu and Gantz stepped out of their legitimate legal authority to do that. The Israeli government, meanwhile, has banned Palestinian fishermen from working off the coast of Gaza. It's no longer a 5-mile limit or a 3-mile limit or a 2-mile limit. It's 0. They can't even cross the beach. And they're prevented from fishing in the full 12 nautical miles of Palestine's own territorial waters. And the Israeli occupation has set a 0 limit until further notice. Now, Gaza and the Palestinians rely on seafood for a major part of their diet. And so this is a collective punishment, supposedly in retaliation for rocket fire coming from the Gaza Strip. But remember, collective punishment is a war crime. Hamas is responding furiously to the closure of the Gaza fishing zone, saying it would not accept the restrictions and the policy will have serious repercussions. Israel will bear the consequences, Hamas said, according to the Ynet news site. Over in Palestine itself, the Palestinian Authority has decided to postpone the upcoming election and has informed representatives of the international community as well as Egypt of its decision. And it's expected there will be an official announcement from Ramallah in the coming days. And the Khan public broadcaster reported the Palestinian leadership was set to meet on the matter this Thursday. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has been widely expected to postpone the May vote as well as the planned presidential election in July, which various polls have him as losing. Okay. Another story, this one coming on out of Breitbart. The drug cartels down in Mexico are becoming more and more sophisticated. They have the money to buy commercial drones, and they're weaponizing them, turning them into delivery systems for improvised explosive devices. Breitbart down in Texas obtained exclusive photographs of the explosive devices and the methods used by the cartel operators. So it's getting very sophisticated down there. Great Britain has sent a strike group, including the brand new Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier, to East Asia to visit allies and take part in exercises, claiming it's not a provocation towards China. And Defense Secretary Ben Wallace said, when our carrier strike group sets sail next month, it will be flying the flag for global Britain, projecting our influence, signaling our power, engaging with our friends, and reaffirming our commitment to addressing the security challenges of today and tomorrow. That sounds pretty provocative to me. They are being joined by a U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS The Sullivans, which is an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer. And again, despite rhetoric to the contrary, this is clearly trying to send a message to Beijing. Over in Myanmar, a major armed group has captured an outpost of the army near the country's eastern border with Thailand. Forces of the Karen National Union, one of the largest armed groups in Myanmar, reportedly seized the army base in Karen State near the Salween River early this morning, in fact. And so that is still rocking and rolling. Despite the costs associated with the coronavirus pandemic, global military spending grew in 2020, led by the United States, and admit it, you're not surprised. Global military expenditure rose to $1.98 trillion for last year, even as some countries reallocated defense funds to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. The 5 biggest spenders in 2020, which account for 62% of global military spending worldwide, were the United States, China, India, Russia, and the United Kingdom in that order. So viruses may come and viruses may go, but the bombs go on forever. Turning to a little bit of economic news here. The Biden administration announced yesterday the expansion of a child food program that will feed as many as 34 million children this summer. This, I think, is a good thing, and I say that because when Claire and I were living in Hawaii, we saw a lot of child hunger because of the high prices there in Hawaii. The assistance money would last maybe 3 weeks out of the month, and then the kids would be going to school hungry for that fourth week. And the church that Claire belonged to had their own food program that would put these little food bags together for these school children to get them through that fourth week. So, yeah, anything. I'd rather spend money feeding children than bombing children. Over in Idaho, they are refusing to go woke. The state Senate has passed a bill banning the teaching of critical race theory in schools, claiming it's indoctrinating students to hate themselves because of their skin color. And that really is a big part of critical race theory. Oh, if you've got white skin, you're a bad person. You're automatically a racist. You're the inheritor of the wealth of the slave owners and everything. Anyway. Oh, we got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms, or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356, or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Born in the city with a silver spoon, great-grandson of the oil tycoon, raised by wolves, thinks he owns the moon, socialist banker to the one-world goons, Davy Rockefeller, chairman of the CFR.
And welcome back to our show here. And there's an interesting article coming out of the New York Post talking about how parents are starting to fight back against the so-called anti-racism in the New York City schools. And it starts talking about this gentleman, Harvey Goldman, who was rather surprised to find out that his 9-year-old daughter was mostly learning about George Floyd's death and Black Lives Matter and white privilege and why she was a bad person for being white. This is a $43,000 per year private school in Manhattan, and now he's part of this growing underground network of parents in New York City and around the country. A lot of them, surprisingly, are liberal, and they are fighting what they believe is the undue focus on race by schools as part of the new woke culture. Now, I'm old-fashioned. I think schools should be about reading, writing, arithmetic, and skill building like that. And we knew this next one was coming. This is from Cuz Blue. Professors at Sheffield University want to put disclaimers on Isaac Newton's theories for being Eurocentric and white savior science. So I guess if you're reading about Newton's theory of gravity, and you're not white, gravity is canceled. And we'll know this is real when we see all these non-white people just sort of, start to float off the ground and float up into the sky, because after all, gravity is part of white supremacy now. I mean, it really is getting ridiculous out there. Republicans are demanding that Joe Biden's new director of the ATF investigate Hunter Biden for lying on his background check to get a gun. Now, Hunter reportedly falsified information during a background check when purchasing a firearm. The background check form asked about drug use, and Biden said no. And it was shortly after Biden had been discharged from the Navy Reserves after testing positive for using cocaine. So, anyway. Over in Connecticut, a judge, U.S. District Judge Robert Chatigny, has ruled that a lawsuit by female student athletes to block transgender athletics is going to be thrown out. And so Connecticut's policy that allows men who identify as women to compete against women athletes in high school sports is going to continue. And I think it's one of the silliest things I have ever heard in my life. And I don't know, maybe they're feeding all of this kind of craziness at us to keep us distracted from just how badly managed the country is right now. Okay, since 2019, Apple has known that its AirDrop feature leaks users' info, but they have yet to fix it. Okay, we're going to take a break here. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines now. Area code 512-248-8252. We'll be right back.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Amazon customer. It's amazing. I just ordered my second bottle. In 1 month, my blood pressure dropped significantly. I no longer get chest pain after I exercise. The reviews are spot on. My target is to get off of BP meds, and if it keeps going like this, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Amazon customer. Extendivite works great. This product has made my blood pressure and cholesterol stable. I highly recommend it. Amazon customer. Excellent herbal formula. I've been using it to keep my cardiovascular system fine-tuned. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, putting America first, second, and third. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to the show. Hour number 2. The phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're talking about computers. And there's a very interesting article in Tech Republic. And it may be a harbinger of things to come. Because the article is making the case that for a lot of businesses, it makes more sense for them to build their own software rather than to buy it from a vendor. And they're saying, you know, you've got coders on staff, you've got project managers, just make the software yourself. And it could be very attractive. One reason is you decide what the software does and doesn't do. You don't need to deal with a lot of functions that you're never going to use. Nobody can take your software away because the license is no longer offered. I just went through that with Adobe. And you don't waste money paying for features you'll never use. And once it's built, it's built. You don't have to keep paying a subscription fee. So that's good news, and I think it's going to be good news for expert coders who are going to go into companies and say, well, yeah, I can make this, and it's a work for hire. You will own it when it's all done. In the early days of computer animation, we had to write our own software, our own renderers, ray tracers, and modelers, and so forth. And it meant that we could fix things, we could add features when we wanted them to. It had certain advantages, and it was an investment in time and money to write your own software. But there are a lot of good reasons to do that here. Over in China, they just celebrated their 6th National Space Day in Nanjing. And as part of the festivities, Chinese space officials highlighted the Chang'e 5 mission's recent return of lunar samples, some of which were on display. And they also unveiled a rendering of a new launch vehicle that looks like it's drawn much of its inspiration from SpaceX's Starship. Okay, we're going to start taking phone calls. Dan in Virginia, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello?
Hello, you're on the air.
This is Dan in Washington. We got the wrong state. Right name, though.
Okay.
Am I on?
You're on the air.
Yeah, yesterday I called in about, the founders, and a good call from Tom. I like Mel Gibson, great director. There's Hollywood and then there's real life, but you were saying at least we don't, we don't have the Queen on the money. And have you ever seen he talks about Zog a lot. Have you ever seen the map of Zog on the dollar bill?
Not sure that I have. I mean, I've seen the all-seeing eye and the pyramid. Not sure about Zog, though.
Well, okay, you got the one seeing eye and the pyramid. And, but, okay, over on the right side, you got the eagle, which is a fascist symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And then above the eagle, you have the stars arranged clearly as the Star of David. So if you look at those
yeah, I've
stars,
seen that.
it's pretty
That
undeniable.
actually was a common motif in the early history of the United States, and it goes back to the fact that when Congress was first built, the desks were all donated by a Jewish businessman who put the 13 stars representing the 13 original states into that Star of David, and everybody said that's fine, and that's where that came from.
Yeah, I think it has more symbolic meaning, but
Mhm.
that's a decent story. You know, I think it has more to do with. But you're right, though. I mean, from the founding of America, we were kind of placed under a Zog system. Hamilton set up a central bank, so a lot of the Hollywood movies about King George and all this stuff. The founders kind of quickly set up their own thing. But when I saw the Star of David above the fascist eagle, to me it clearly symbolizes, the Jewish control of the money.
Well, that's the thing with symbols. Different people can look at the same symbol and come away with different ideas.
Well, okay. And then under that, you got the eagle, which is fascism. That's the U.S. government under Federal Reserve control.
Certainly is now.
And then, and then you got the Goya Mason / Zio Christian / just sellouts, and that's the pure die. So you got the Zog. To me, it's Zog mapped out right there. So I'd rather have a king on my bill.
I don't know. I'd rather have my wife on the coinage, but then I'm prejudiced.
Right. Well, that's all I got. I'll just leave it at that. But it's kind of interesting there on the back of the $1 bill.
Okay, and thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to go to Shepherd on a homestead. And what is on your mind today?
Yeah, excuse me. I got a very hoarse voice. So it's a little challenging for me to talk. But, Michael, I have to ask you very quickly here. How much time would I have? Would it be either 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, or 13?
Well, you have as much time until I get bored and annoyed, and then I cut you off.
Okay, so if you get bored, say you have 30, which means 30 seconds left.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll begin. I'm just going to sit down here with all my birds and lay out all my stuff in front of me. I got it all here. Hey, guys, careful. Come on. So I have everything in my pocket, what I need to talk about. I'm highly organized with what I do. So I don't want to waste any time. So I'm laying out my compass, and I'm laying out my Black's Law 5th edition, and I'm laying out my turmeric, my motherwort, and what else is there? And nettles, my bag bomb. Yeah. I know. Sorry. And ivermectin, and I've got... Okay, now I'm ready to start. Okay. So at this point, we have to start preparing. And people don't realize...
Hello?
So actually,
there you are. I thought we lost you for a second.
Oh, sorry. My mic is being muffled by my coat.
Okay.
So I just met Captain Kirk. Today. And let me explain that in more detail. I walked out my front door, and this man was driving in a vehicle, and he said, there. He goes, young man. He goes, I actually know your daughter.
Okay.
And I said, oh, you do? And this will come to something, and you'll understand. And he said, I'm so sorry to hear what has happened. And I said, oh, no, that's okay, because her destiny she wasn't meant to be here in this time. And I said, don't feel sad for her. And I'm the guardian of her right now. So he understood. So I took him to a very special place. I took him to my house.
Okay, we seem to have lost Shepherd here, and I'm sorry, we're having technical difficulties there. All right, Shepherd, we're going to 30 seconds. We're going to let you go here because I'm already bored, and so our phone lines are now open. Area code 512-248-8252. Getting on back to the news here. Interestingly enough, it turns out that people who buy electric vehicles, and I wanted to be one of them, it turns out that 20% of them, when they are tired of their electric vehicle, they go back to a gasoline-powered car. And the reason given for that is the lack of infrastructure, charging points, and apparently women are more likely to abandon the electric vehicle and go back to gasoline. One of the big problems with electric vehicles is how you're going to charge all of those things, because there are a lot of them. And we see charging stations here and there. There were public free charging stations at shopping centers on Oahu. But it's not going to stay free forever. Eventually, especially if you're charging your car in your garage at home, you pay for that electricity. And, it's just another way of getting the cost of the energy. And the reality is that at this particular time, most of the electricity in the grid charging the electric vehicles is still coming from coal and oil-fired power plants. And so it's not like the electric vehicles are any cleaner. They may be cleaner in their immediate vicinity, but they're definitely not cleaning up the environment, because they're using electricity, and in the generation of that electricity, we are seeing more carbon compounds being put into the air. So plant some more greenery around your home to soak up that excess CO2, and that will help balance it. Okay, story. YouTube TV is supposed to bring the best parts of cable TV to streaming. But it's also bringing one of the most annoying parts, which are called carriage disputes. Roku and Google are fighting over the terms of carrying YouTube TV on Roku's streaming platform. And Roku has sent out an email blast to customers saying Google may remove your access to YouTube TV. And the industry is still young, and they're shaking it out. And I have a comment right now, because we order from Amazon, we get free access to Amazon Prime TV, and we'll go on there, and it looks like it's a lot of the same old movies that we were getting on the regular cable channels. And I understand one of the reasons we're not seeing a lot of new movies is because COVID shut down a lot of production. But a lot of the newer movies that are coming on out, they're just like the Academy Awards. They're woke, they're lecturing, they're liberal agenda, sales pitches, and don't want to see that at all. All right, we're going to go back to the phones to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good day, Michael. To that last call, was that guy saying that he met Captain Kirk? Who's Captain Kirk, a bird or something?
I have no idea, and I'm already getting emails, saying that, he's a nutcase. So I don't think so.
Yeah, what was that about? He met Captain Kirk. Did he meet Spock? Did he meet what's the other ones? All the other ones in the show. I mean, my goodness, man. Wow, weird. Anyway, Mike, here's what I want to talk about. Yeah, you mentioned the landfill here in South Florida, here in Dade County, Miami-Dade. You got Broward County. Same, they have a landfill too, but not as big as the one down here. I talked to a lady today. Yeah, she goes, she has a friend who works out there, Mike. They're throwing out some tremendous medical supplies in that landfill. They're brand new. Masks everywhere, millions of masks. It's unbelievable what they're throwing away.
Yes.
I mean, so what's really going on with this COVID Hong Kong Chinese flu? What's going on here? I mean, and, listening to Tucker last night, talking about the masks are actually making you sicker.
Yes.
They're causing you all kinds of lung problems. And
yes.
These kids they don't even wear masks, but they're making them wear masks. This is insanity. Here in South Florida, like I think you mentioned that one of these schools here in South Florida, the teacher, you have already got the shot, the kids can't be around you. This is madness, man.
Mm-hmm.
They use this whole thing as a ploy. Zog has used this as a ploy to totally wipe out the identity of the whole of the world. My opinion, Mike.
Okay.
They've definitely weakened our society down. They want to put, like the one gentleman from Chicago said, they want to put a chip in your head. That's coming next, so you can buy food. That's what's coming on here, and that's what they're gonna. That's gonna. And this Bill Gates, he's demonic. He's demonic as George Soros is.
Yes.
He's another creature, big creature. That Gates and all that Doomberg and all these other schmucks. They're the crap they perpetrate, Mike, is absolutely filth, utter filth. And then you got this border being breached, cartels all over the place with billions of dollars. Mike, we're on a teeter-totter of disaster.
Yes.
We're like a half a pound away from this tilting the scales to all blackout, to total annihilation. And I'm just waiting for this Kim Jong-un to threaten Joe Biden. Boy, that's gonna be a spectacle, huh, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
If Kim Jong-un threatens Biden, I don't think Biden has the cojones to do anything about it. I think Kim Jong-un is going to walk all over him, same as Putin. You're going to walk all over this bumbling imbecile. And this is what these people want. They're going to have buyer's remorse. You watch, Mike. Buyer's remorse is going to hit them like a ton of bricks.
It's already happening. Already happening.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And Arizona is going to be a linchpin of what they find out with the filthy fraud that actually was perpetrated on this country. Utter fraud.
I'm
Mike,
expecting some Democrat to try and actually burn that arena down.
Well,
that's how desperate they are.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be a heck of a show here in the next couple months. I can't wait to see this bumbling Biden at his State of the Union speech. Oh, my goodness. You remember Pig Pelosi tearing up Donald Trump's speech, Mike, out when he was giving and Pence was just staring around?
Yes.
Pence and look at her and say, hey, you bitch, what the hell are you doing? I mean, Mike Pence right there showed me what a coward he was when he wouldn't even point his finger at her and say, hey, he should have went, no, you're not doing that. On national TV, that Pig Pelosi tore up the President of the United States' speech. That was the most filthiest thing I ever seen in politics, actually. She's like, we already got this. The fix is already in because of COVID virus. The COVID, we're making sure you Republicans don't win. We are going to punish you with the COVID. This whole thing was a scam from that day that Pig Pelosi tore up that speech on Donald Trump's State of the Union address, Mike. That's when I knew the whole thing was going to be a fix. I was even saying to myself, hey, Trump should have confronted Pig Pelosi.
Yes,
hey,
he should have.
Who the hell are you? He should have. He should have confronted her right then and there and say, don't you dare tear up my speech. That's government property. That's the people's property. She had no right to do that.
No,
Mike.
She didn't.
No, and nobody said a damn word, and the communist, Bolshevik, Marxist media allowed it to play out like she was being a tough lady. She's a dirty, nasty. You know what I think. You know what I think of her, Mike.
Yes.
Come on. Then she lives in an $18 million mansion,
mm-hmm.
and that Mad Maxine Waters lives in a multi-million-dollar house, and the rest of the people in L.A. can't even pay their bills. Homelessness everywhere.
Yep.
It's utter insanity. And one more thing for that great caller in California. I wonder if he signed a petition for Newsom to be booted. I hope he calls in and tells us that he was on that petition over there to get rid of that leftist commie over there. Maybe he's going to vote for Bruce Jenner. I wonder if he's going to vote for Bruce Jenner.
Yes.
Before he leaves the state of California. Maybe he'll vote for Bruce. Mr. 1976 athlete of the, what was the athlete of the year, decathlon or something?
Something like that, yeah.
He hated his male hormone so much he turned woman. Unbelievable. I don't know. It's kind of strange. But, yeah, Mike, I don't know. It's all subliminals. That's what I can say, Mike. It's like when we were kids going to the movie theater at halftime. I mean, not at halftime, at intermission, they flash on the screen, get your Coca-Cola and your popcorn, your hot dog.
Yes.
Run down that concession stand and spend your money. That's what they're doing right now. It's exactly what they're doing, this COVID-19 nonsense. The Wuhan, Hong Kong flu. So that's what I got to say. And here in South Florida, Mike, it is crazy. They throw away all this medical supplies. We have Medicaid fraud all over the place. You hear every day there's some of these clinicas getting arrested. People getting arrested for fraud and graft of all the money they can steal.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable, man. I can't even imagine what's going on in California. Maybe the guy in California will tell us about all the illegals getting health care. When they get better health care than me and you will ever get. Trust me. They'll get way better health care than we'll get, Mike.
Yep.
They actually probably get as good as health care or better than the veterans in the VA hospital.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a
another
real
disgrace.
scandal.
Well, it's gotten better.
They've never really cleaned up the mess over at the VA. I got an email from somebody the other day saying it's still a mess over there.
Right on. Well, it's gotten a little better from what I hear, but it's still the drug situation. It's terrible. It really is. So, it's better than I guess it was a little bit under Trump. But anyway, Mike, that's all I basically got to say today. I hope some of the other callers like Miles or Marco or Tony or Kevin, some of these other guys need to call in. I hope they do. And yes, a great call.
Well, it looks like we're getting some more people calling on in right now, but we're going to have to take a break for commercials. So thank you for the call, Tom. We'll be back with more phone calls after these few words.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stop Terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And pardon me, welcome back to our show. And again, a friendly reminder, Republic Broadcasting Network needs your continuing support to go on doing what we're doing, which is in keeping the American people fully informed so they can make good choices. The postal address where you can send a check money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. Now, if you mail in a donation for $100, you will get your choice of an RBN coffee mug or an official RBN t-shirt, and the bragging rights appertaining thereto. And if you send in $115, you will get both. So include your t-shirt size and a return address. Now, we're almost out of the t-shirts, so if you want one of those, the time to act is now. And don't forget the Frontside Firearms deal, which is really a sweet deal for Second Amendment enthusiasts. Okay, we're going to go back to the phones. Don in Arizona. Hello, Don. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hello. The deal with math. I didn't understand that white people actually are not that good at math. The good ones are the Orientals. So I mean, what is this deal?
And the Indians, the people of India. I mean, some of the greatest number theorists have come out of India.
Yeah, this idea that that's why this idea of white supremacists doesn't exist really, because there are white people that want to stick up for the white race and not get the dirty end of the stick constantly day in and day out. But those people like Red Ice and I forget the other Jared, those people like that, they will say, well, actually the Asians have the highest IQs, and if you want to consider Jews a separate race, they're a little bit higher than.
Yeah, they're very sharp.
Right, but anyway, some of my favorite movies could not be made. I know today with the way Hollywood is now, they will not have anything. And to treat the topic of race, you have to be funny and you have to be kind of controversial. There was one movie. It was a cop movie. I forget when it was made, maybe in the 80s. Q&A, Nick Nolte was in it, and
Eddie Murphy?
Timothy Hutton, but no, not that one. This was about the New York City Police Department.
Okay.
And but these guys were always telling each other, like the Puerto Ricans, they say, "You're just a nigger with short hair." I mean, I'm just quoting that. I'm not even quoting it now.
You're going to get in trouble for that.
Right. They can't, but and they were all these people, and they were taught the Jews and all the different ethnic groups in New York, and they were kidding each other about it, and that's how you get along with each other, by kidding each other and just so forth. Another good one was Amos and Andrew. That movie was a comedy.
Yes.
It was all about the whole race thing and the typical Al Sharpton character that tried to make a big scene in order to get publicity and all that. But this idea of kneeling and so forth, yeah, of course the people are going to get mad in New York.
Yes.
They don't know anything to any black people. So I don't know what the end is going to be, but I don't understand why. I mean, we did elect a guy president twice who's black, or who's half white, I guess, Obama.
Yes.
I mean, this idea of, what do they call it, systemic racism? No, there ain't no way.
Well, the fact of the matter is that racism is a fact of life, and it's not just from the white people. I remember when I was married to my first wife, and, I was shocked by how racist her family was to other types of Jews. And so I think this goes back to the fact of tribal loyalty from our primordial days. Coupled, with xenophobia, which unfortunately is part of our psychological makeup. I think before we're going to deal with racism, we need to basically understand it's part of our makeup, and then we can just simply say, I'm not going to be racist today. as opposed to trying to say, well, everybody's bad because they got a white skin, because racism in reverse is still racism, and it's not going to cure the problem. If anything, it is going to build even more resentment and hate.
Right. Well, that's kind of what you got now with all this, the white cops, the black people think that, well, I can do anything I want to because I'm black. I mean, they're going to do whatever they can get away with.
Yes.
I mean, somebody has to crack down on them if sooner or later. And yeah, if you're running away from if you have a warrant out for your arrest and you're getting away from the cops, then something bad's going to happen.
Or if you're standing there with a knife in your hand attacking another person, which is the other one. Anyway, Don, got to let you go. Got to take another break for commercials. We got more callers waiting on the line. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out thekosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
We are living in dangerous days, and I am frightened by what you say. It chills right to the core, this talk of holy war.
Welcome back to our show here, and we do have a few phone lines open right now. Area code 512-248-8252, and we're going to go to Kevin in West Virginia. Hello, Kevin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hello, Mr. Mike. I'm wondering, do you remember a few years ago, and it may be all the way back to Katrina, when FEMA got caught up in a debacle with cleaning their trailers, their housing trailers, with formaldehyde, and also their airways, how to get the airflow through their trailers were compromised, we could say the least. Well, the reason why I bring that up and with FEMA is, how do we know with the southern border crisis that we don't know where these people are going? We don't even know who they are. How do we know the government isn't partaking, and I hate to say this, but human sacrifice with these illegals? We have no idea what's going on.
Well, you know, if in a very real way, the government is partaking in human sacrifice with all the people dying from this unapproved experimental gene therapy they're inflicting on us.
Agree. I totally agree. I mean, this is Joseph Mengele type experimentation that's going on, which violates the Geneva Convention and also violates the Nuremberg Code. And where are the lawyers? Where are people standing up against this? But I wanted to ask the question and look on that at a different angle than most people are looking at it, because I haven't heard anybody talking about that angle. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you about, you a little while ago, you brought up the cartels, and when you bring up the cartels, you also have to bring up the war on drugs and everything like that. I have a solution. My solution is unpopular, but my solution would also hurt the pockets of the cartels.
Okay.
And as well as it would also limit police interaction with civilians. And I say decriminalize all drugs.
A lot of people are saying that's the way to go. You know, during the prohibition of alcohol, you know, we saw crime take off. You know, the gangsters and the money power of the contraband alcohol was so powerful, it literally reshaped our government to its own purposes. And the only way they got away from that was to finally repeal prohibition. And a lot of people are saying we need to do that now. We have a lot of states that have now legalized marijuana for recreational use. I think Oregon has decriminalized a lot of drugs now. And yes, there are people who are going to get into problems with overuse and abuse, but I think it's going to be a lot easier to treat them and get them through detox than this constant police state, anti-drug program that we're running.
I totally agree with you. And the other thing that I was looking at looking at that point of view too, if somebody were to overdose and die, I hate to be a heartless person, but oh well, they were going to overdose and die anyway. Also, you can make the argument for population control. Hey, legalize everything, and if people are stupid enough to do it, then hey, you can't fix stupid. Let them die. I hate to be heartless and say that, but I do think it would get the freeway moving a little bit faster than what it is in today's world. I mean, like I said, I hate to be heartless, but let's be realistic.
Well, again, a lot of people are saying that the time has come to decriminalize these drugs because the war on drugs isn't working. It's leading to a lot of corruption. I mean, several years ago, they actually put the president of Colombia on trial for drug corruption. They failed to convict him, but at least they made the effort.
Yes. And the other thing that I wanted to hit on with you as well is I'm curious about viral shedding with this COVID-19 vaccine. I'm hearing a lot of people who are even being around somebody that's gotten vaccinated has gotten sick with COVID. With this messenger RNA and viral shedding, are there DNA particles floating around the air? And
there are RNA particles. And spike proteins and prions, unfortunately. If you remember that story we talked about earlier in the program about how these mRNA gene therapies are creating all kinds of terrible things in your body. And yes, they will. You'll exhale them. They'll seep through your skin. And we had that article about this school, which is enforcing distance between teachers who've been vaccinated and the rest of the student body.
I agreed. And I want to ask a hard question.
Sure.
What is COVID? What is COVID? What really is COVID? I mean, I'm hearing it's never been sequenced, and then I hear out of Dr. Boyle, the guy that wrote the biological weapons laws and treaties and everything, how this is a cold virus or a cold virus with 5 different proteins hooked onto it with HIV. Well, how does he know? And then how does the CDC? This has never been sequenced. See how it's confusing me?
Well, what we're getting from CDC and the World Health Organization is they have never succeeded in isolating the specific virus, and all of the tests and therapies are based on it being similar to other viruses we have encountered in the past, which is a very sloppy way to handle things, in my opinion.
So it's fair to say we really have no idea what COVID really is?
I'm sure somebody somewhere on the planet knows what it is, if in fact it was an artificial creation. One theory is it's just the ordinary seasonal flu that's been renamed to support this campaign of fear and control.
And it also said because of, and I don't know if I believe this, I don't buy it, but they're saying that the seasonal flu has all been eradicated because we're wearing masks. Hey, I've said this to you before. You might as well put a chain link fence around your house to protect yourself from mosquitoes.
Yeah.
It ain't going to work.
No, they're completely ineffective. We have that Stanford study that just came out saying that the masks were totally ineffective and, in fact, could actually cause you physical harm from the constant wearing.
What about the psychological effects on children? Does anybody not taking in this to account?
Yeah,
as well?
they're looking at the psychological effects, especially on children.
Okay. I was just wondering. It just seems like, man, it seems like these people either A, mismanage this totally because it's a control thing, or these people are completely inept. And I hate to say it, I don't believe they're inept. I don't
actually, I do. I think they're all perfect examples of the Peter Principle. They have been promoted to their level of incompetence.
You might be right. But thank you. That's all I have for you, Mr. Mike. I hope you have a great day, and please give Miss Claire the best.
I certainly will, and we're going to switch over to Charles in St. Petersburg, Florida. Hello, Charles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, Mike? The last caller you had just stole my point. I was going to talk about shedding. You know, Dr. Tenpenny talks about that. You know, the whole system of antibodies is just destroyed, so you have a ADE or a priming, pathological priming. Yeah, and and the appearance of things are mad cow disease has prions.
Yeah, mad cow disease is caused by a prion.
Yeah, appearance of prions in people that are vaccinated. Remember what Dr. Curry Mullis, the creator of the PCR, said about it. I don't know if you've seen his interviews of him. He's dead, of course. He died in 2019. But he says about Fauci, he says he's just an administrator. He doesn't know anything. He said, I'd tell him right to his face. You know, that's almost a word for word rendition of what he said in the interview.
He also said the PCR test was never intended as a diagnostic tool.
Right.
It's just not designed to do that.
Right. He said he didn't. One interview, he said he didn't trust doctors. He never went to them, and he had, he thought the whole AIDS thing and HIV was just a big scam. You know, he and also the other fellow that was involved. I can't think of his name. He was involved against AIDS.
Oh God, I'm blanking on the name.
But our friend
Gallo.
Fauci
Gallo, I
was
think his name
involved
was.
in that. AIDS. Yeah, there's another one is a friend of Dr. Kerry Mullis, who was more of a chemist. He said Fauci's not a scientist; he's an administrator.
Yeah,
he knows nothing about science, about electron microscopes or anything. But he said in another interview, he said it's on the BitChute. Said he says I don't trust people in white jackets anyway. I don't go to doctors.
Well, people in white jackets cause cancer.
Yeah, right. Among other things. Yeah, it's. I'm worried about as Dr. Tenpenny says the shedding.
Yes, that's a big problem.
Big problem. Yeah. Yeah, it may turn around on them instead of like in Israel and the United States and other countries were people that refuse the vaccine are treated as pariahs, and
they are very much so. And it may turn out in the long run that they were the smart ones.
Yeah, that's especially true in Israel. The Orthodox, who many of the Orthodox are just refusing. Very religious people refusing to do, and they're right. They're refusing to take the vaccine when they're being treated by pariahs, and it's one example of when what was in South Africa. You had the apartheid, medical apartheid. That's a word I can't try to think of.
All right. Well, Charles, we're getting short on time, and I got a bunch of callers waiting on the line, so I'm going to thank you for the information. Going to let you go, and we're going to switch to Richard in Ottawa. Richard, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Yes, hi, Bill. Sorry, Mike. Bill. The reason I mentioned Bill, because I was asking, the last time I talked to you was before Trudeau became Prime Minister of Canada.
Okay.
And you're looking good, buddy. I was asking if you ever heard of Bill Ryan.
No.
Okay, he was with Project Camelot. He made a research, and he had an Illuminati who was dying. He had 2 years to live in 2005, and he interviewed him, and he gave all the plan of depopulation.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look, it says China will catch a flu, and they laughed. It was in England. They planned this, and they control the banks of all the world, and they want to depopulate the world. That's why they're blocking in Canada and Ottawa. You should see how crazy it is there, but I'm laughing. It's a joke. You gotta believe in peace, love, and sound mind. You're powerful, But if you look at the documentary on YouTube, it's on YouTube. It's called The Anglo-Saxon Mission with Bill Ryan. You'll see that it's there, exactly what they plan on doing.
Okay, well, thank you for the information, and we're going to switch over to Steve in West Virginia. Hello, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I got a couple things around the same subject, and I'm not sure if all your listeners will remember this, but I know you will. You remember when, I don't know, about 10 years ago, all these microbiologists were getting killed?
Yes, I remember that.
Okay. Now, what happens if they found out about what these guys planned things way in ahead, and they found out about it, and they were going to blow the whistle, or they weren't along with it? And I want to tie that into, I know I called you about 6 months ago and talked to you about this map where it shows the United States population going in 2025 going way down, like cut in half.
Yes.
I got that off Jeff Wrench's site. I mean, I think what your last caller said and what other callers on here, they want to depopulate the planet.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's clearly that. And the other thing I'd like to say is Naomi Wolf at dailyclout.io is got some legislation drawn up for legislation against vaccine passports, any kind of vaccine discrimination, And they will, if you email their site, tell them where you're from, they will send you like a copy of it, and you can send it, or they will even send it to your representative. And I think everybody should be doing this. I mean, don't be lazy. We want, you don't want to be, discriminated against or, fired from your job or you can't travel any place because of these creeps. So I'd like to see everybody go to dailyclout.io and look at Naomi Wolf's website. She's been really outspoken. In fact, she is suspended from Twitter right now for saying something against Fauci. So, and that's kind of what I got to say. I got one other thing, though, Mike. This
real
is
quick. We're almost at a commercial break.
Okay, Mike. What do you know about organism 46B?
Never heard of it.
Look it up. Organism. It has to deal with Russia. Organism 46B. And maybe I'll call you back sometime during the week.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And we're coming up on a commercial break. We got another caller waiting on the line, but I think I'm going to do a little bit of news rather than start the phone call and have to break it up. We're in another meteor shower right now from late April to early May. It's the Eta Aquarid meteor shower lighting up the night sky. This is when the Earth passes through the debris trail from Halley's Comet. And that actually happens twice a year. And this is the springtime. And then in the fall, it happens again, creating the Orionid meteor shower. So if you look toward the constellation Aquarius, that's where this meteor shower gets its name. Okay, we're going to take a break for commercials. We got a caller waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Extendivite 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs in Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry, because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri. 417-932-6419.
Corporations, Wall Street and the banks rule our politicians. They don't deserve our thanks, then they tell us the banks are too big to fail, when the banksters all need to be in jail.
Welcome back to our show. Last segment of our program today, and we're going to go to Jack in Massachusetts. Jack, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Good to talk with you. It basically it comes from when I was listening to you a couple of weeks ago, and it deals with how I would suggest you deal with some of your computer issues or problems that you may ever have.
Yes.
And it's a product. You go on Amazon, and if you look up StarTech, STARTECH, 2-drive SATA mobile rack backplane. Now, once I discovered this, which is probably a year or two ago, I don't build a computer without it today.
Okay.
It's the build quality of the device. It's $50 some odd bucks, but it's so worth it. It just enables freedom and flexibility on your computer systems that it's just really unmatched. And I don't know why more people aren't aware of it. But anyway, I want to make you aware of it.
Well, thank
and
you.
It enables you.
I mean, I haven't actually built a computer since I built this desktop unit back on Oahu.
Okay. Well, look at this device. It just changed my computer building. I build a lot of computers for myself and others, and I just insist it be part of the design. It basically it puts your SATA drive into your the front of your computer. So if you want to, if I want to pop in a Windows 3.1 drive and boot my computer up to 3.1, I have 3.1. If I want Windows 10, I shut it down. I open up the drawer, pop in another SSD, and I got Windows 10. And it's just
the problem with that is the software companies are expiring licenses, even perpetual licenses, for unsupported operating systems. I mean, I love Windows 7. This is a Windows 7 machine. I'm working with a Windows 10 machine, and I'm having to use brand new software for it because all the old stuff won't install. It just says, we disconnected the validation server and so forth. Anyway, listen, Jack, we're going to let you go and try and squeeze one more call in. Bob in North Carolina, what's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. The story you read about the respirators that are in the landfill, I don't know if you watched the rest of the video there, but they were not at the medical standard, so they had to be either shipped back or pitched. So they could be used.
No, I had actually missed that, but it's still a huge, huge waste of, money and material, and it's
I agree with you, sir. It is a waste, but when you say you want to fill in for Rush Limbaugh, you would be excellent at it because he lied by omission also, all the time.
All right, Jack, thank you very much for the phone call. We're at the end of the show now. Ralph Winterroad will be on John Stedmiller's show coming right up, talking about getting out of the administrative state and reclaiming real citizenship and property. Please spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Please donate. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.